Welcome to what is hopefully the final part of this build series, where we built this 1 meter tall LED tower. Now in the last part we had finished it off, tidied it up, troubleshooted and fixed a couple of little problems and got it working as it should be. However, there is something about this kit that is not as I would like it to be. It's a problem or a feature that is peculiar to the edition that has the PCBs for all the LED rings. Now, as you can see, I've got it set on just one mode, but these top LEDs are just doing whatever they want. They just randomly change colours. In fact, if I change the mode to a different one, they still carry on doing the same thing. They bear no relation to what the rest of the tower is doing. Now, in the instructions for the edition that doesn't have circuit boards, it describes using some of the RGB LEDs to be able to make up a tower tip. And so that's a modification that I want to copy or perhaps improve upon, because I'll put up a couple of the images from the instruction book regarding how they accomplish this, and it's not quite as tidy looking as I hope that this mod is going to be. So this, or rather these, are my suggested solution. I've designed and then 3D printed some PCBs for the LEDs to go through. Some of the holes need opening out just ever so slightly, so that I can mount all of these. And with the holes in the middle, a central hole is for the fiberglass rod to support these as they go up. So spaced out, obviously. And then this top one has also got 4 little holes in it for the single LED to be able to fit in and through. It's a bit tight. Those holes need a wee bit of opening out, but then that allows single LED, in fact perhaps 2 or even 3 of them, to sit up at the top of the tip of the tower. So the link, if you want to download the STL file for these, the link will be in the description below to the Thingiverse page. Now it's just a case of some assembly. Now you may be wondering, how are we going to drive all of these? And that'll become evident a little bit later on. But basically all of these have to be wired with all the anodes commoned together. So all the red anodes together, all the green anodes coming together, all the blue anodes coming together, and then the cathodes will be individual. They'll be kept separate, and they will wire into the top ring PCB of the tower itself. So let's get started with putting some of this together. So I've brought you in nice and close to the very top of the little 3D printed LED supports. This time, unlike whenever I was building the actual tower, I'm working from the top downwards because it's just a little bit easier, I think. We shall see. And as you can see, we've got 4 holes. There's a central hole that'll be for the fiber rod, support rod that gets glued into that. These 4 holes are for the RGB LEDs that will come up from this. And as you can see, they're not quite in the center because obviously the fiber rod is in the center. So to counteract or to compensate for that, I have just put a bend in the leads of the first of the LEDs that will go into this. If I just put this in to illustrate. So the bend may not be absolutely perfect, but that can be straightened out at a later point. And so that means that that will hopefully come up centrally. And it will be about at that height. Now I just need to bend up the leads on the next LED so that they can be soldered in, so that this tower can be continued up. Let's just see how that looks. A little bit more. So as you can see, I haven't trimmed off the ends of these leads because it just helps to identify, to make it easier to identify which way round it should go and to get them matching up. So I get my fat fingers out the way. You can see that the longest pin will line up, there we go, with the longest pin. It lets me know that I've got these round the same way. So now we can just solder these up. Only needs a very brief dab of heat. I just realised I've done the wrong side of those. Oh well. First one's always the hardest one to get on. I think this other middle one is also going to be a bit tricky. But they're all there. We just put a little bend back into it to try and keep it semi-vertical. Now obviously you can't do anything about the fact that from one side these are going to be slightly obscured. There's just nothing that can be done about that. I don't know if we dare try putting another one on. Yeah, why not? So again, we're mindful that the long pin is the second one from this side. Need a steady hand with this. If anybody knows where I can get one, leave it in the comments. And there we go. We have the three. Just a little bend, a little double bend needed. So again, one of the reasons for holding this with my pliers while I make this first bend is that I don't want any extra stress to go on these joints here. I know that they may not be the strongest. But there we go, we've got our tower tip. Now this can be popped into this little ring. So the idea is that these legs, apart from the common cathode, will bend across in each of the directions and will meet up with the LEDs legs that are already put through this. Let me show you what I mean. Just zoom out a little bit. So, one thing I'm trying to do when putting these LEDs in to keep some sort of consistency. The long lead, which you can see is this one, just pinging here. The long lead I'm keeping towards the outside of these little printed, 3D printed plastic LED holders. And then I'm aiming the legs in line with the center. And it's important to keep to a system, because otherwise when you get a few of these done, if you've mixed up and only some of them have got the long leg towards the outside, then it's going to be very easy to make a wiring mistake. So the idea will be is that I will bend over these legs, basically bend them over and then curve them round. So this outer one, if I can hold on to it there. And bend it over like that. And then this may well take pliers to hold things. We'll get bent round, then can join on to the next one, which will go around. Then obviously with the ones that come through, once I've got the length that I need, which is probably going to be about this length, I can then just put a little drop of super glue or something to hold them in place. But they can bend over and attach on to their equivalent as these go round. It'll all become, hopefully, a little bit clearer as we go along. Just remove those central ones, so it'll make it a bit easier to solder these in place. Unlike the PCB rings, I haven't been able to rehearse this off camera. This is my first time of doing this. So there's enough LEDs in the kit that if I make a complete mistake of it, I can redo it. And of course it's very easy to print out a new ring or adapter, mount, whatever you want to call these,